So we're here for the second part of this interview with Rabbi Levi Krinsky, head of Chabad of New Hampshire, and the son of Rabbi Yehuda Krinsky, the Rebbe's Maskir secretary. And we're talking now about the library. I would like you to repeat just a few of those details. How your mother, I think you said your mother helped get the building, the 760. Could you tell us again slowly the details?
Yes, so our house was very much a hub for these types of meetings. We're very influential people that my father had a yachas to and brought to the Rebbe, like an Irving Spiegel, who was a religious writer for the New York Times, who was very, very, very cold. He had a wife, Vera Spiegel. They wouldn't write anything Jewish positively about Orthodox Judaism, but when they came to our house and had dinner, there was a they opened up, they became very close personal friends, and then Irving Spiegel came to 5 minutes from Bringen. My father introduced Irving Spiegel, who the Rebbe had known already. I told you he had read a lot of clips my father used to send him of the New York Times.
Right.
And the Rebbe told him those famous words that you have more influence in the world than I do. He told to Irving Spiegel. He was blown away. Rebbe, you have all these Hasidim. And the Rebbe meant through his writings in the New York Times, he can reach many more readers and be more influential by writing something of positivity, something of seichel, than the Rebbe could have in his circle. So they came to our house regularly. The famous Mel Washer, who did a series of pictures, would come to our house regularly. Belville Green, who later became a full-fledged Baal Tshuva, hung out a lot. Today, books are written about Belville Green. So the Schwadron family was known. They were very wealthy. And I think when I believe it was a Dr. Shapiro that had the 760 become available next door to 770, they had to raise the money to buy it. And my father was beside himself, not when we have the funds, where he would get those funds. And he knew of the family that had met. We used to go on Chalamayit, what they call a sukkah party. They used to make a large sukkah. We had pictures of me and my brothers and sisters eating jelly apples. It was kosher. My mother suggested that he approaches them and talked to them about opportunity. And he went there and met with them. They owned a very large furniture company, I believe, for many years, and talked about the need for the library next door becoming available at J to 770. And they said, check is in the mail. And they actually purchased it. It was their title, was on the Chabad, of course. It was, I'm sure, tax exempt for them. But that was, my father said, it was totally my mother's initiative to have them come over and spend time. And
how much did it cost? Do you remember? Do you know?
He had a number. It was minimal. It was I can quote you. I don't know, but it was pennies on a dollar. But again, that was real estate back then.
Right.
But even now, the library is busting at the seams, and of course, the library, as we said before, is the Rebbe's pride and joy. The Rebbe, hey Davis, what that meant to him.
The building which Reb Yoel moved to, is that the library building?
Yeah, that was owned by the Itkin family.
Right.
Yeah. In the last few years of his life because of his health, yeah.
And was that your father's decision? That was your father's decision?
My father was always very involved. My father, on the side, was very involved in a lot of Crown Heights issue related with Izzy Rosenfeld, David Fisher. Those days, my father was involved in the hospital. He used to be in Montgomery in Brooklyn. He was very influential in buying those properties. Now they're houses, and used to be a hospital. You remember? I know you're a Borough Park boy. You're a Borough Park. My father has a lot of stories related to those years. He was very influential in these Veltische community things. My father was involved in buying the Chelkis and Chevek Kadisha in the cemetery by Fizik Rebbe. My father was very involved. He was on all those paperwork. He was involved very much in the purchase with the cemetery. Don't forget, obviously he took to them. He spent a lot of time there on many occasions, but he was very, very close to the owners. He was initially, he might even be part of the Chevek Kadisha till today on that level. But I think there are certain times where they've asked him not to get involved in decision making. That's never fun as Chevek Kadisha. So my father had the eye to the world, and he had to bring them to the Rebbe. And once they got to know the Rebbe took over from there.
But I'm asking specifically, do you know if he was the one who moved Reb Yoel and his wife from Montgomery to there?
I don't know. It certainly had to be done with their permission. If you know, my brother Shmaya, right now, my younger brother Shmaya, does a lot of work for the library every year. The Hey Stadium They run a mega fundraiser to keep the employees paid and keep the books fresh and new. And after a flood, they needed it. I know, and I know, I hear they'd love to expand, and they will eventually get there to open up like whole next building. There's Svardim that don't have a place to go. If Rabbi Yoel was there, whether he paid them rent or what the arrangements was, I don't know. But of course, Rabbi Yoel was Rabbi Yoel, and I don't think anybody can question that his health deteriorated in the last few years. I don't know. I can't tell you who asked
But
and who did it, but
your father was close with him, wasn't he?
he was close to him over the years. They used to be neighbors on Montgomery Street, next door to door, for many years. I mean, we all
Right, right. No, because
years there.
that was a very the right thing to do and a very respectful thing to do. And
There'll be others that disagree, but Apipashtis, it seems like it was the right thing to do, and it allowed the Rabbi to give more and pour out more and be there more and be,
he lived till 91 almost, and he was able to produce,
which is
and the,
for the man with Shabbos other than Shabbos without a cigarette. Rabbi was
well, that's when he had a heart attack one year on Gimel Tammuz, and he wasn't feeling. He didn't want to smoke. That's what they say, and he knew something was wrong.
Yeah, no, he was a holy Yid. His wife, she lived in Be Well.
Anyway, so let's go back to
So those are the things that happened a little bit at the house. We saw that the Arum and his schedule and his seriousness and in the PR aspect and then the Shluchus world, that Rebbe entrusted him to a lot. The Kinnis and Shluchim in the first years was all done through my father. And then the Zaidi, going international. My father gave reports constantly. He asked about him. There's a lot of duchim up and back about the expansion of Shluchim. My father was mitigating and working in all kinds of what caused him pain. When things didn't go right, when people couldn't see eye to eye. I remember as a kid, I was hanging out in the office in my later years after a lot of painful phone calls. I mean, this wasn't all rosy, hunky dory. Right. There were some very, very difficult hardships, as it is in any expansion of any conglomerate or a business expansion. Today Tel Aviv is unterneming. There's no organization in the world that was built like Chabad today as we speak, and it continues to grow, exponentially. But that growth comes with growing pains, and in the highest level of kedusha and the highest level of holiness, and the Einam and the Welt, there was growing pains and pain.
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you another question.
A lot of litigation, a lot of mitigating between people to make it work.
I want to ask you this, and this is a question for all the maskirim, because this is something that I've thought about and feel strongly about. Why is it that after Gimel Tammuz, didn't the three maskirim or the four, whatever, get together and not make a new Rebbe, the Rebbe's our Rebbe, but make some spiritual leadership that people have to listen to? I don't think that I've never heard that they got together and with Reb Yoel and the maskirim and.
All I say, I'm not going to go there. I mean, we understand the Rebbe to the best that we can understand the Rebbe. And I don't want to sound like an extremist, but to think as the Rebbe, listen, that's
not as a Rebbe. Who's talking about a
Rebbe? Who are they after? They're butts of Adam, they're flesh and blood, they're employees. Who are they that when they respect that they, they know better? I mean, it's an area that's hard to explain, and I certainly not the one to give you But they had their own strong feelings. They each personally had their own strong personality. They were all holy, sacred, Hasidim, devoted. Again, till today, my father is still a Rebbe his whole life, everything. But I think it would put a limitation on the Rebbe if we thought that we're not the Darashvi, if we're not the ones that can get the Rebbe, fulfill the Rebbe's gesagt. Hine Mashiach Bo was not anything that it was the Rebbe's initiative. And I think we all feel very strongly, even though he's talking about 30 plus years after Gimel Tammuz, that we're still on the right course. My Shver used to say, used to forbiding a lot. They were all pretty secret, by the way. Most of them swear to a certain amount of levels secrecy. You know, the Rebbe durchwillen, als what the Rebbe wird durchwillen. Our job is to carry out the best that we can. About be nicht kala machen. Just don't screw up. You can't do it. Let the Rebbe do it. It's a durchwillen. Nicht kala machen. Don't misrepresent him.
Get out of the way.
We lost your voice. We lost your audio.
No, now you don't hear me? You don't hear me?
I don't hear you.
Hold on. Now, audio. Now? Levi, now? You hear me now?
Don't hear you.
Oh, come on. Hold on.